What's up, Magnetic Men Club? I'm Chase, back here again with this new How to Make Money Online series, and I really just kind of wanted to dive into some of the things that I had talked about last week on this series. There were the 5 different beginner-friendly business models that I think you should start with, and so I'm just breaking those down one by one. Today is all about how to start freelancing, because that's the lowest bar for you when it actually comes to trying to start your own business. Obviously, there's a difference between an employee mindset, a manager's mindset, and an entrepreneur's mindset. And it's understanding those differences that are really going to dictate your success with this stuff. And so really what that comes down to is the fact that, managers think a little differently than employees do. Employees think a little differently than entrepreneurs do. And understanding those differences is not really that easy to do. It's not really that obvious because, like I said, they don't think the way each other thinks. And so when you're in that employee mindset, one thing that, I remember when I was in the employee mindset, I was thinking all the time that, I just want to go start my own business. I just want to do this full time. I don't want to have a boss. I want to be my own boss. I want to dictate my own schedule, that kind of stuff. But one thing that I didn't realize when it came to all of that is you go from being good at one job, you go from loving one job, whether that's graphic design or video editing or whatever it is that you do, you go from being really, really solid at that one job to starting your own business and realizing now there's 11 other jobs that you have to do that you're not very good at. And so starting out with freelancing kind of eliminates that because you can just make it a side hustle. You can do it right alongside your normal job. You can do it without having to start this big, massive business. You don't even have to really go get your LLC out of the gates. You don't really have to worry about any of that stuff until you're really at a certain level. And then you can go talk to a lawyer. Then you have money to put into it to have somebody else just take care of all that stuff for you. And so that's the biggest difference is I think that it's the one that you should start out with, especially if you're already an employee, because you can do that right alongside everything you're already doing. Start your side hustle, get that income coming in, save that money, and then start to invest that into a business if that's what you really want to do. And so I just want to talk a little bit more about that today. So how to start a freelancing business. First and foremost, welcome to our new series. I want to talk a little bit about that for a minute because, like I said, I've got some up and coming videos for you guys. We started doing this series last week. We talked about our 5 beginner-friendly models that you can get started with. And so I really want to just talk about the upcoming topics that we have for this series. And so obviously making money online on YouTube is one of the big things. People always want to know how to make money from YouTube, and a lot of it comes down to the different business models that we're going to talk about. You have to think about your YouTube channel as a business, and you have to be thinking about the different opportunities that you have at your disposal when you actually get into YouTube. And really that's going to be centered around your niche, and we'll talk a little bit about more of that stuff as we go through this series. But really, I just want to talk about, my top 5 ways that you can actually make money on YouTube, even with a small audience. Even if you only have 1,000 subscribers, you can still make money from YouTube as long as you set your channel up the right way and as long as you're actually making the right content for the right people. And then obviously start a coaching business. This is something I've helped a lot of different people do. This is something I've helped with digital products, right? That's something that we talked about last week too, is actually getting your own digital products live and actually getting your courses up and live, actually creating ebooks and things like that, and even print on demand services and creating coloring books for kids that you can sell on Etsy. There's so many different ways that you can make money from digital products. But one of the biggest ways is starting an online coaching business and really getting going with all of that stuff on that side too, to really actually get your courses live, get your ebooks up and live, becoming a thought leader, and being able to post your content across the board using different AI technology like ChatGPT and video and Opus, Clip. There's a lot of different ones that you can use to actually get going with this. Then there's affiliate marketing. Obviously, if you have a channel where you're recommending different products, or you actually have friends maybe who already have products in place, there's a lot of different things that you can do to make affiliate marketing income. And if you're willing to really just use your marketing skills, get out there and promote, there's a lot of people that will pay you commissions to promote their products, especially Amazon. And so that's one of the biggest affiliate opportunities out there. We're going to talk a little bit more about that stuff as we go too. Service arbitrage, really kind of leveraging other people's time, leveraging other people's services, and marking it up for a profit. And then marketing systems and selling digital products like we discussed. So stay tuned for this series. I'm really excited to break all this stuff down for you guys. Obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg. These are just the ones that I have planned in the short upcoming future. But today we're talking all about freelancing and starting a freelancing business. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the top 10 freelancing opportunities that there are out there, because I've been on both sides of this. I've been on the side where I'm actually being a freelancer, trying to do these jobs for different agencies, for different companies, and I've been on the side of hiring these people for my agency to try and streamline my services too. And so one thing that I know is that these are going to be usually the top jobs that you're going to look for. These are usually the top opportunities that people are searching for, but usually when you have a top opportunity, it's highly competitive. So that's something we want to keep in mind with all this stuff too. So there's content writing, right? If you want to write blogs, if you want to write poems, if you want to go and actually write sales pages for companies, there's a lot of different opportunities when it comes to content writing. Then there's graphic design. Obviously, a lot of different agencies need graphic design. Books need to be illustrated. Infographics need to get out there to explain processes. People need lead magnets and stuff like that made too. And so a lead magnet is something that you're going to get on somebody's landing page. So when people are looking for opt-ins, they need lead magnets to be able to entice people to exchange value for their information, essentially, so they can start to nurture them and educate them about their products. And there's a lot of different graphics that are needed for those lead magnets. There's illustrations that are needed for books. There's all kinds of different graphics that you need for creatives, for ads, that you need for social media posting. There's all kinds of opportunities when it comes to graphic design. Then there's video editing. Obviously, that's the one that's probably the most in demand right now, because a lot of people need long form videos. A lot of people are trying to position themselves as thought leaders, and they really need to use those short form videos to really get their name and their attention out there, get their information out there to try and exchange value, let people know they're there so that people can start taking advantage of their offers. And so video editing is going to be one of the major ones. That's one thing I know that people are always looking for video editors. They're always looking for really good video editors. And so that's the big thing too, is understanding how to become a better video editor. That comes down to filming, editing, the filmography of it all, actually coming up with stories and scripts and outlines for that kind of stuff too. That's really what is going to set you apart from all of the other video editors out there, because like I said, that one's super saturated for that reason. And then there's web design. A lot of people need websites for different things. They need sales pages, they need funnels and things like that built out. They're going to need all kinds of different sites built out, because a lot of people are actually still sitting on old Flash sites from the 90s and they just haven't updated in many, many years. And they're always looking for opportunities for web design. That's actually something that we get a lot of work for. A lot of people actually seek us out to try and look for us because we've been building websites for more than 10 years. And I still get tons and tons and tons of referrals for websites. There's always people looking for websites from me. It's something that we've done a lot of work with. And so I can tell you right now that web design is still very much in demand. Then there's development. That's another thing that I really get sought out for, because I build custom applications. I like to actually build custom applications for businesses because it's a way that they can kind of differentiate themselves from the market, and they can offer something that their competitors don't offer. Especially with this new AI revolution, there's a lot of different opportunities when it comes to development. So if you know how to program, or you know how to structure databases and design that stuff, then there's going to be work for you forever too. And then there's systems and automations. I've actually had an agency that built this into 7-figure businesses. A lot of them are always looking for project management systems, customer relationship management systems, and that kind of stuff too. And this is stuff that you want to have in mind as you scale your business, because this is essential to all businesses if they want to be built to sell. And if they want to be able to scale and hire people and have people follow certain standards, then that's exactly what they're going to need, is these systems in place. And they're going to want to automate as much as possible to save as much time as they can. And then there's search engine optimization. Obviously, if you want to be found on Google, if you want to be found on YouTube, you're going to need search engine optimization. And so there's a lot of companies always seeking this out, because this is an ever-changing thing. There's not just one standard for trying to rank on Google, for trying to rank on YouTube. This stuff changes all the time. And so there's always opportunities to try and actually jump into a website and optimize it, make it faster, try and actually get out there and write content for it so that they can rank for more keywords and things like that too. There's a lot of opportunity for search engine optimization. And then there's finance and accounting. Everybody's always looking for bookkeepers. They're always looking for somebody who knows the tax system better than everybody else, so that they can save as much money as possible and keep as much money in that pocket as they can. And so everybody's always looking for accountants and finance people to kind of guide their decisions as they start to invest in different things. There's so much opportunity for finance and accounting advisors. And then there's social media management. Obviously, with the new AI revolution, this has become more streamlined than ever, as long as you know the right tools to use. And so really trying to streamline somebody's social media management and build their audience and get them out there and position them as a thought leader is going to be an opportunity that's going to be around for years to come as well. So what do you need to get started? Keep it super simple when you're just starting out. That's really what it comes down to, is that KISS method, right? Keep it super simple, keep it stupid simple, however you want to say it. Just keep it simple. Remove all the bells and the whistles. And so all you need is a way to get their attention, really get the traffic, get the information out there, use your social media management skills, start running ads, go and get on profiles where you know your customers are going to be. All you really need is to get their attention, and then a way to capture their information. And this can be as simple as just having a website form. So actually having your website up and putting a form on there, or even just directing them to your inbox. You just need a way to make sure that you can get their email and get in contact with them and get that conversation open. And then you need a way to educate them. So whether that's educating them through the DMs and having a really personalized DM script, or whether you're actually just talking to them through an email thread, whatever it is, you just need a way to be able to get that information out there and educate them about what you do so that you can nurture them long term. And then a way to get paid. Obviously, that's why we do this, right? That's why we're even here. We want to make extra money. So you need to make sure that you have a way to get paid. You need a way to actually charge them. We're going to talk about that a little bit as we go through this. Then you need a really solid way to fulfill on the product, right? So you need to make sure that you know what deliverables are going to be necessary, how you're going to fulfill on those deliverables. Are you going to give them through Dropbox? Are you going to give them to them through, Google Drive, whatever it is? What is your fulfillment method? What is your process for that? And what exactly are they getting at the end of it all? Then you want to focus on payments, right? You want to make sure that you focus on payments first, because everything else you can kind of build as you go. But the biggest thing is that as soon as they're ready to actually make a purchase with you, you got to be able to take that payment right away. You want to make sure there's no hang-ups in that process. You want to make sure this is ready to go before you even start any conversations. And a lot of platforms will help you actually charge for this. Some platforms will even charge them for you. I don't really recommend doing that because they take a large percentage of what you're supposed to make from that. And at the same time, if you're on a platform like Fiverr and like Freelancer and all those other ones, Upwork, right, they'll charge them for you, sure. And they'll pay you out whatever you're owed. But like I said, they're going to take a huge chunk off the top of that. And at the same time, you're competing with everybody else who's only charging fractions of a cent to what you charge, or fractions of a dollar to what you charge. And so you have to stay competitive until you price yourself out of the market and you become a commodity. And that's a big problem. You don't want to be a commodity in a market where there's a whole bunch of people offering the same things. You want to try and differentiate yourself and really get a good, solid social media presence and stuff out there and charge for this yourself. And that's really what makes it different for you. That's really what's going to position you as kind of like the boutique solution, the top of the line solution, right? You're not actually there trying to compete with everybody who's on Fiverr. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there. I'm just saying don't rely on those methods. And so the most common ways of getting paid, obviously the one I've used the most is Stripe, but I've used PayPal in the past, and PayPal works, but you got to be kind of careful with PayPal because they're kind of all over the place. They'll hold your money for no reason. Stripe will kind of do the same thing. It just kind of depends. The more money you make, Stripe kind of starts to see you as a risk. And so you want to be careful with these different things. These are all merchant processors, right? They'll actually take the payment for you and then just process the payment and give it to you to your bank account, essentially. They take their percentage off the top of it. Obviously, the standard usually is about 2.9% for the processing fee. But the only other alternative to that is to actually go out and get your business filed, actually become a sole prop or become an LLC or, start a corporation, whatever it is, whatever model works for you the best to be taxed. That's what you'll actually go and set up. And then once you get that all set up, then you can go and start your bank account. Once you have your bank account, you can use a payment gateway instead, something like, NMI or authorized.net, but that's getting into the woods. Like I said, you want to keep it simple. Just go start a Stripe account, just go start a PayPal account, get those payments coming in. Once you have money coming in, you can really start to pivot. It's kind of like driving a car, right? You got to be moving in order to change direction. If you're stopped, you can't change direction. And so really what this comes down to is just you want to get the money coming in, because that's going to be your fuel to try and build for the future. And so just make sure that you have money coming in, and you can kind of change things up as you go. But make sure you have a way to take those payments from the get-go. And so really Wave is another one that I've used a lot in the past. That's one that I've used to pay a lot of VAs and stuff like that too. So you want to be able to accept Wave payments. And then on top of that too, if you have QuickBooks for your financing and you're actually using that for your books, then you can actually use that to charge people as well. So what is your offer? For the skills and services you specialize in, what are the deliverables that can be expected for each service? You really want to understand this. Like if you're video editing, like do they get the end video product? Are they going to get access to the video files? Are they going to have access to the raw files? Whatever it is, right? You want to make sure that you know exactly what the deliverables are so that you can check those off as you go and make sure that they actually get what they paid for, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, is what are the deliverables after they pay you? Or are you actually getting paid after you deliver? And that's something that you want to be able to keep in mind too. And so what is the scope of work? Obviously you want to have hard set boundaries. You want to make sure that you say that, hey, I'm not available on the weekends. I'm not going to answer your messages on the weekends. That's a hard boundary to have. I'm not going to answer your messages after 5 p.m. I'm not your employee. I'm obviously a contracted worker, so I work for myself. This is my own company. And so that's really kind of how you want to be able to approach this. You don't want them thinking of you like an employee. You don't want them micromanaging everything. And we're going to talk a lot about how to identify really good and really bad clients out of the gates too as we go through this presentation. But I just want you to make sure that you're understanding exactly what the scope of work is. Because if they ask you to do something that you didn't agree to, that's an opportunity to charge them more. And you don't want to just agree to it, because then they'll just keep coming back to you with more and more and more. And that'll hinder your ability to deliver on the final product. And if you can't deliver on the final product, then they'll say, hey, well, you didn't give me what I paid for. But you're going to say, okay, well, I gave you this, and this that you asked for. That's why you want to make sure that you have hard boundaries, because if you don't have those hard boundaries set up from the get-go, they're going to walk all over you, and then they're going to say that they didn't get what they paid for. And so, like I said, this is for your protection. Make sure that you have hard boundaries and a clear scope of work so everybody knows what to expect throughout this entire process. And if they ask for something additional, charge them extra. That's really what this comes down to. I can't stress that enough. And so what happens when a request falls outside of the scope, right? Are you going to charge them extra? Are you going to say that, hey, we just don't do that until this whole product is delivered upon? Once I deliver the final product, we can talk about some extra things. However you want to handle that, that's up to you. And so what's your pricing for each service? How much are you going to charge? And so that really comes down to, what is your time worth to you? So a lot of people ask me all the time, well, what should I charge? What is the typical pricing for this? Well, it doesn't matter. What the typical pricing is whatever you're okay with making for whatever it is that you're doing. And like I said in the last video, you really want to make sure that you have a strong money mindset. You want to start looking at, like I said, $10,000 as not a lot of money. And so like I said, what is your time worth to you? That's really what it comes down to. That's really whatever you're okay with making for whatever you're doing is whatever your price is. Like, that's up to you, and it really kind of depends on the product. You can look at the typical pricing for other people, go to Fiverr and see what other people are charging so that you can remain competitive, but don't be a commodity. You want to try and differentiate yourself in the market so that you can charge more and so that you can get what you're worth and you're not priced out of the market. And then understand what the time frame to fulfill is. Understanding, like, this is going to take me 1 week, this is going to take me 2 weeks, this is going to take me 3 weeks. You can expect this product in 7 days, you can expect this product in 30 days. Whatever that is, you want to make sure that you set a logical time frame for you to deliver on. Make sure that you account for other things that might come up, other days off that you're going to need, that kind of stuff, and then give them a logical time frame that works for both parties, and then stick to that time frame. Like I said before, it's important to set clear boundaries and expectations as you go through this. You don't want any miscommunication, because miscommunication can burn the relationship, and once the relationship's burned, you can't get it back. It's done. There's no getting back to it. So like I said, you want to make sure that you have a clear scope of work, clear boundaries, and clear expectations set with each and every single client as you go through this. So let's talk about a simple offer framework. because I think this is kind of helpful. This was helpful for me when I first got started. I've gone through a lot of these different offer frameworks. I know that, Russell Brunson is out there usually talking about the irresistible offer framework. Alex Hormozi has his $100 million offers grand slam offer framework. And on top of that, I've been through a lot of coaching programs that have given me other frameworks like the scary offer and things like that too. And so I just wanted to talk a little about how to keep this framework simple. And it's really just a guideline for thinking about this. That's why we call it a framework, right? And so you have your big promise. So what is the big end result that they can expect to receive at the end of it all? What exactly are they going to get out of this? How is this really going to make their lives different? How is this going to change their lives? You want to be thinking in those terms because you want to make a big promise that you're going to help them achieve. And the number one thing that I've seen with every single offer framework is you want to have some kind of risk reversal. You want to have some kind of guarantee, right? And that's what this comes down to, is stand behind your product. If you really think that you're good at this, if you really think that you can commit to your scope of work, commit to your boundaries, and they're agreeing to that, then you want to make sure you stand behind your product. You want to make sure that if they receive something that is subpar, that you're going to refund them, or that you're going to guarantee that you're going to make it right with them. You don't necessarily have to offer a refund or anything like that. You can just guarantee their satisfaction, right? And if they're not satisfied, you'll work until they are satisfied, or you'll work for free until they are satisfied. There's any number of ways that you can go about this, but you can just say satisfaction guaranteed. It can be that simple. But you want to make sure that you're removing the risk for them, because that can make all the difference in them choosing to go with you versus somebody else. Then you want to have a unique mechanism, a proven way that you're going to get them results, a system that you can step into. You want to try and give it a name, right? The FUBAR system that's changing social media forever, right? Whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. But you want to make sure that it's specific to you and that nobody else is offering it. That's really where a custom application kind of comes in for a lot of these businesses too, because it differentiates them from the other market, from their competitors, and gives them an edge and gives them an unfair advantage in the market, because now they have something that their competition doesn't. And that's really what makes a big difference when they choose to go with you versus the competition, that you have this unique mechanism, a unique way of doing things that streamlines the process and gets them better results, whatever it is, right? This is just marketing 101. Then there's bonuses, right? You want to try and offer them more value by giving them extra things. And so these things can be something that maybe you have access to from before, or maybe you offer it alongside your normal product. It's really up to you how you want to offer bundles and bonuses and things like that for them taking action fast. Because you can actually add like time frames to this, right? So you can actually add like scarcity to this. This is if you read Robert Cialdini's book Influence, he talks a lot about these different mechanisms. But like I said, you can add scarcity to this, you can add exclusivity to this, and make sure that there's only a certain number of these bundles that are going out so they take action faster. There's lots of different ways that you can leverage this to make your offer more enticing. Then you want to showcase your work. Why should they go with you? Why should they choose you? Are you really good at what you do? Can you prove it? And so that's really what this comes down to. You actually don't have to have worked for anybody else, because you can actually, like, let's say you're a web developer. You can go and break down somebody's website who you know isn't that good and talk about how you would improve it. If you're a graphic designer, you can take a graphic from online that maybe people are used to seeing, and then you can improve that and just show those side by side how you're doing that. Same thing with video editing. Show them side by side how your video is better than the other one. And so it's just having case studies on your website, case studies on your social media platform. You can go to other platforms and actually show those side by sides too. And those are just your case studies to prove that you know what you're doing, to prove that you're actually really good at what you're doing. Like I said, you don't have to have worked for a client to actually have that work to show, because you can go and create your own case studies before you even start to work in this by breaking down other projects and treating it like it's client work, right? And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that we don't have to have a whole portfolio of work ready to go before we actually get started, because you can go and practice with other things and then show those case studies side by side and show that that's your work. And then you want to talk a little bit about your experience. Where were you trained? What have you been through? How did you get here? How exactly Have you been trained and prepared for what you're doing? You want to talk a little bit about that. You want to talk about the different programs that you've been through, the different people that you've studied under, different schools that you've gone to, different awards that you've won. You want to make sure that you showcase that stuff. And then provide any reviews that you have. The thing is too, is you don't have to have had clients for this. You can actually go and like talk to different coworkers who have worked with you in the past and say like, well, what was your experience working with me? And then it doesn't have to be for the specific product that you're serving either. It can just be their experience and how they felt and what you did for them that really made all the difference. Like if you really helped a coworker out one time, go and ask that person like, well, hey, how would you rate working with me? And then talk to your bosses and stuff too. Like, how would you rate the work that I've done in the past? And then just ask them for a basic review, for a basic testimonial for that. And then showcase that as results of working with you. And then as you go through this, as you actually get new clients out there and as you see that people are happy with the end results that you're providing, get them to leave you new reviews, get them to leave you new testimonials so that it provides a plethora of social proof that actually makes people want to work with you in the future. And then there's inbound traffic. You want to create profiles where your ideal clients will be. And so that's really, if your clients are on LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn. Make sure you have a really strong profile on LinkedIn. If your clients are on Pinterest, be on Pinterest. You want to make sure that you're there posting every single day. If your clients are on Instagram, you need to be on Instagram posting every single day, posting your case studies, posting your testimonials, posting the different projects that you're working on, and showcasing your awards and stuff like that, like we showed too. You just want to make sure that you're starting conversations with your clients wherever they are, wherever they actually find you the most. You want to make sure that you're active in those places. It's going to take you a little while to build up an audience for these things, which is why I don't recommend you just sit and wait for your clients. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're going after clients, which is what we're going to talk about next. But go and start a profile on Fiverr. Go and start a profile on Upwork. Go and start a profile on Freelancer. Like I said, make sure you're on Instagram if your clients are on Instagram. Make sure you're on LinkedIn if your clients are on LinkedIn. If your clients aren't on LinkedIn, you don't get a lot of work from that, then stop posting on LinkedIn. Just focus on Instagram. Vice versa. If they're not on Instagram, if they're on YouTube, make sure you're posting on YouTube. You just want to make sure that you're not wasting your effort. You don't need to post on every single platform all the time. You can repurpose some things and maximize your efforts that way, especially with AI content. However, like I said, if your clients aren't super active and you're not getting a lot of clients from one particular channel, stop posting there. Just focus on the ones where you get the most results from. And then make sure you have a really solid website up. This isn't something you need from the get-go. Do not wait until you have a website to start. That's advice I can give you because I've seen people make $100,000 a month without a website. And so I don't think it's crucial that you have a website, but I think you really should have something out there that kind of showcases your work and gives you an avenue of talking about the different things that you're doing through your blogs and through your case studies, and a place where you can kind of showcase all those different things. I don't think it's super crucial that you have that from the get-go, like I said, but I think it is something that you want to focus on getting up over time. Then there's outbound traffic. Right? This is where we're actually going after particular clients because you don't want to sit and wait for them to come to you because you might be waiting a long time. And so if you need money now, the fastest way to get money now is to go after the clients. And so you really want to get really good at networking. You want to get really good at opening up conversations with people and talking to people about different things. You don't have to think of it like you're trying to sell them every single time. Just open up the conversation. If there's somebody that you admire in the market, just go tell them, hey, I admire your work. Your work is awesome. Go to their website and look at what they're doing and look at different things that they're doing and talk about those things to them. Send them an email really quickly and say, hey, I saw that you guys achieved this. I just wanted to say congratulations. Now the conversation's open, right? So just keep it super simple. Keep it super casual. Don't make it look like it's a sales meeting every single time. I mean, you can go find templates and things like that on HubSpot to try and open up these conversations cold. But like I said, I don't think you should follow a script. I really think you should just keep it casual and just try and start building relationships. Don't look at it like you're trying to sell them every single time because then that's going to put a lot of pressure on you to try and get the sale. And so like I said, just keep it super casual. Jump in there. Congratulate them for something. Just open up the conversation. Once the conversation's open, start talking to them about what they're doing and how you can help them. You want to make sure you actually start a referral program. Like, what are you willing to give somebody if they bring you a really solid referral and that person decides to buy with you? You want to make sure that you're giving that person incentive to bring new people to you. Start a referral program. Really sit down and think about what that referral program looks like, and then start telling all your friends and family, hey, I've got a referral program. If you know people who need this kind of stuff, can you refer them to me and I'll give you this in exchange? Start thinking about how you want to manage that and handle that, and then start putting that out there to people. Then you want to look for strategic partnerships. Let's say you create logos, right? If you're a graphic designer and you specialize in logos, you specialize in banners and things like that, go look for web development companies that already have a lot of clients who need your services and start to offer your services alongside theirs. You're not competing with them. You're actually offering something that's complementary to what they offer. Start looking for those strategic partnerships anywhere that you can. And then start going to events and conferences where you know your ideal clients are going to be. Don't go to just any random event. Like, right, if your clients aren't going to be at Comic-Con, well, don't go to Comic-Con. Unless that's something you want to do. But like I said, you're not going to find clients there, so don't use it as a client-making opportunity. You want to make sure that you're going to places where your clients are going to be and where they're actually looking to make purchases. That way you can get those conversations open with different people, and the best way to get conversations open with people is in person, because then you can start to form an even stronger relationship with them. And a lot of the time, like I said, if you have a referral program and somebody already purchases with you, they know other people in their market who do the same thing that they do who are going to need your services too, and so they can refer you. So let's talk a little bit about getting started with networking. You want to leverage your network with the 3x3 rule. And so really what that means is, you know somebody, 3 people out there, they know 3 more people, who in turn know 3 more people, who in turn know 3 more people, right? You want to be really strategic with this and talk to people who are your ideal clients, obviously. But like I said, if you just kind of go and sit down with somebody, take them out to lunch or something like that, and say, hey, well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm offering. What do you think about it? Is this something that would be useful to you? And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But then also follow that up with, well, do you know anybody who this would be useful to? And then, like I said, 3 warm connections can turn into 9 warm connections, can turn into 27 warm connections, and so on and so forth. It's a way that you can kind of quickly reach hundreds, if not thousands of people very fast and really get the word out there about what you're doing and who you are. Then we can take it to the next level by really going to networking events, like going to places where people are actually trying to network with each other and refer each other around. Like I said, you're not just looking for clients here. You're really looking for partnerships too. You're looking for other people that you can align with and refer people back and forth to and from. Don't look at this like it's just trying to make money, because then that's going to put a lot of pressure on you. Like I said, you want to look at it like you're trying to make strategic friendships with people. You're trying to really just form relationships and working relationships that are going to carry you forward for a long time, because you never know where this might take you. You might actually be able to form a partnership where you guys create an even larger agency who can do more things, and you really never know where exactly this can take you. And so, like I said, you want to be looking for strategic partnerships. You want to be looking for friends who can refer you around, who they can refer people to you. You can refer people to them, vice versa, right? That's what we're really looking for, is these power partnerships. And maybe you do end up in networking events where you can actually find clients and you can really open those conversations and talk to those people, because, like I said, if you're talking to your ideal clients, they know other people who are your ideal clients, and so on and so forth. And so that 3x3 rule starts to work in your favor. And so really, you want to make sure that you have a strong elevator pitch. You want to make sure that you can say in as few words as possible exactly what you do, who you help, and how it transforms their life. And then from there, join the Facebook groups where you find your ideal clients. Join Facebook groups where you can form strategic partnerships. Make sure that you're getting into your local Chamber of Commerce or your local BNI. All kinds of things like that too. Make sure you're going to the trade events, the trade shows, forming those partnerships, and really just trying to get the word out, right? You want to make sure that you actually have a way of building this business long term, so that you can take this from a side hustle to a really strategic business that you can scale long term. And like I said before, you can just simply take somebody out to lunch just to pick their brain, ask them what they think about your offer, ask them if they think this might be something useful to them, or if they know anybody else who this might be useful for. Then the big thing is follow up and nurture. And I cannot stress the importance of follow-up enough. You want to make sure that you're talking to people enough times for them to understand who you are and what you do and what you solve and how it helps them. You don't want to look at it like you're nagging them. You want to make sure that you're just staying top of mind with them. That's it. You want to make sure that you're staying in the forefront of their mind. And so you always want to be sending them just a strategic email, maybe a newsletter, something like that. You want to make sure that you're constantly following up with them and asking them if they need anything from you or if they might benefit from some of your other new services that you have coming out, showing them new case studies as they come through and the different projects that you're working on so that you can stay in the forefront of their mind. You never know when they actually might be ready to take action. And so 80% of sales transactions take place between the 5th and 12th follow-up attempt. And a lot of people never even follow up one time. And so a lot of the people in your market, people that you're competing with, are missing out on business opportunities, mostly just because they're not following up enough. And so you want to make sure that you are following up enough. You want to make sure that you're staying top of mind. In the book, Sticky Branding by Jeremy Miller, he states that 3% of your market are currently active buyers. They're ready to go right now. So as you reach out to 100 people, 3 of them are ready to go today. But you got to make sure you reach 100 people in order to get those 3, right? 7 of them can be convinced to take action today, as long as you're really persuasive and your sales skills are on point. And then another 30%, it's just not the right time. So you really need to be able to follow up with them for the next 30, 60, 90 days until they are ready to take action, because that's 30 more people that you could have. And then you have 30 more who might be interested. They're just not interested yet. Maybe they just don't have the money. Maybe they're just not ready yet. They're just not at that point in their business yet, but they might be interested at some point in the future. We just don't know when. And so it's important to follow up with those people too. But then you have the 30 who just will never be interested. This just isn't the right product for them. They just don't like you. Whatever the reason is, they're just never going to take action on this. And so understand there is at least 30 people out there out of 100 that are not interested at all, never will be interested, will never take action. We just got to let those people go. As soon as they say no, oh, great, cool, next opportunity. Then it's important to understand that not all clients are made equal. Some people just don't make good clients. I've worked with a lot of bad clients in the past. I can tell you that when you wake up in the morning and you've got 10 meetings for the week and you know they're just going to be a pain in your neck, it's nothing but an energy drain. And so it's important to understand that choosing the right people to work with is like having friends with money. If it's a good client, if it's somebody who really energizes you, like I said, it's like having a friend with money. And so you really want to be able to choose the right clients. You want to be able to identify when somebody isn't a good client and get rid of them fast. You want to make sure that you don't overcommit to that person, because you don't want to be miserable working with somebody. You don't want to dread the meetings you have coming up. You want to get into this and get into entrepreneurship and run your own business because it energizes you. You don't want to go from having one job to having another job, right? And so that's the really point of this, is understanding that what makes a good client versus what makes a bad client. You're not just looking for a credit card and a pulse. A lot of people do. They're just looking out there just to make the paycheck, just to make the money. That's all they want. That's all they care about. And I can tell you right now, those people end up miserable. And if they're not fulfilling on the work, they're making somebody else miserable down the line. And so it's just not a fun place to be in. It's not a fun environment. We don't want to be selling people who we don't like, who don't align with us. We want to be in a situation where everyone thrives. And so, like I said, not all clients are made equal. A bad match can just drain your energy to no end, and a good one can feel like a friend with money. And so we want to look for quality over quantity. More clients won't fix everything. And so we want to really look at things that way. More money will fix almost anything, but we don't have to look for more clients to make more money. We really just got to find more quality clients who look at us as the experts and who believe in us and our products and who really want to take advantage of our services more and more. And so as we offer more services, they take more advantage more and more. We're able to raise our prices. They pay us what we're worth. We don't have to go and find more clients who might potentially be bad clients. And so we really want to be mindful of this and finding, quality clients over quantity clients. A common misconception is that more clients equals more success. That's not always true, because the thing is if I'm having to drop my prices just to get somebody in the door, or if I'm having to offer way more to them just so they'll take action on this, that's probably not going to be a good client. That's probably going to be somebody who's just going to drain my energy and keep me from really serving the people who energize me, from really serving the people who feel like friends with money. And so you really want to be able to identify these people out of the gates and get rid of the bad ones fast. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how to do that as we go through this. But like I said, you really just got to keep in mind that you want to prioritize quality over quantity. You're really trying to build deep, meaningful relationships with the people that feel like friends with money. So I want to talk a little bit about how to identify those people. So what are the potential red flags that you should be looking out for? I've got 8 different ones here that are kind of signs that you're dealing with a bad client. And really the first one is they don't respect your boundaries. So what do I mean by respect your boundaries? Really what that means is if you say you don't work on the weekends, but they expect you to be beholden to them like 24/7, they expect you to answer them within 5 minutes, even if they send the message at 1 in the morning, right? You'll wake up the next day and they're like, hey, why didn't you get back to me? And they blasted you and they 10 more messages before you even get up and get to work. And they're like, well, I'm paying you money, so why didn't you get back to me? You want to watch out for people like that. You do not want to work with people like that. They will just drain you. And then there's the deconstructive criticism. If they're really just kind of criticizing just to criticize, they hired you because you're the expert. And if they're sitting here looking at you like you're not the expert and like they want what they want, and it's like, well, why didn't you just make it yourself then? Why did you hire me in the first place? You want to look for constructive criticism. And so really, if they're trying to just be deconstructive, they're insulting you, these different kinds of things, you want to try and avoid people like that. Then there's the lack of communication. If you send them a message and they don't get back to you within a day, 2 days, if within a meaningful time frame that works for you so that you can continue the project and get things done on time, then that's going to be a bad client. They're just going to be a drain on you too. You want to make sure that like if you're asking them for different assets and you need to get those assets back and they're just not getting them back to you on time, or they're just kind of not responsive, that's somebody that you're going to want to try to avoid too. Then there's micromanagement. Like I said, if they're kind of inserting themselves in the process and saying, well, I need you to inform me every single time you check something off. I need you to inform me every single time I have something else to look at. I need to make sure that this is done, that it has to be done exactly this way, that way, whatever. They're trying to micromanage the whole thing as you go through this. They're not really giving you creative freedom or creative range. That's somebody you're probably going to want to avoid too. Then there's people with the victim mentality. Obviously people who, they look at you like you're victimizing them, or they look at somebody else like they're victimizing them, like they're victims of the government, they're victims of society, they're victims of their clients, they're victims of their employees. These are people you really want to try to avoid too, because they're never going to take ownership in a project. They're always going to be looking for somebody who's a scapegoat, right? And they're going to look at you like you're a scapegoat, especially when it comes to working with bigger companies and you're working with the project manager in that company, and that person's always looking for a scapegoat because they never make their own timelines. And they're looking at you like, well, it was the freelancer. He just didn't get things back to me on time. You want to try to avoid working with people like that too. Then there's just the outright disrespect. If they start calling you names, if they start hounding you, that kind of stuff, that you don't deserve to be disrespected in any capacity. You have your own company, you don't work for them. And so really this comes down to, if they show you any kind of disrespect at all, if they call you any kind of names at all, you want to get rid of that person as quickly as possible. Then there's just the outright bad attitudes. If they're just, whatever it is, they're always huffing and puffing and shrugging, and you just can't do anything to make them happy just because they always have a bad attitude. That's somebody who's going to drain you too. Then there's the people that are really demanding. Like I said, anybody who exhibits any of these traits, just be done with them. Don't get into a longer term relationship with them. Don't try to actually do more things for them as you go through this. This is really with any relationship. People who act this way, you just can't make them happy. You're never going to make them happy. And so avoid them at all costs, because like I said, you'll just drain yourself trying to make them happy. Then there's the green flags. Who are the people we really want to work with? What are the 8 signs we should be looking for to indicate this is a relationship we should take further? And so this really comes down to responsive communication. Like I said, a lot of these things are the opposites of the red flags, because these are just the really good people that we want to be looking for. If they're really responsive, they're really on top of their stuff, and they get things back to you as soon as you ask for them, that's a really good indicator that this is a good client to work with. And then there's the reasonable expectations, right? We always want to be looking for reasonable expectations. If we set a time frame for 30 days, even though we know we could do this in maybe 20 days, but they're cool with that 30 days because they understand that things come up, they understand that things happen, they understand that we take days off, they understand that we have our nights off, that kind of stuff. They're always open to reasonable expectations for things. They're always open to reasonable expectations for the workload too. And so they're not expecting so much back from you. And so it's understanding that when somebody is like that, that's probably a good client to work with. Then there's the long-term commitment. If they really are exhibiting signs that they want to work with you long-term, that they want to continue doing projects with you, that they want to refer people to you, that they're really willing to kind of open up that partnership, that's going to be somebody who's really good to work with because they are committed to this. They're committed to working in this long-term. They're committed to making sure that their clients are satisfied, and they're committed to making sure that their business grows and that your business grows in turn. And you want to look for people that are really honest and trustworthy. If you ask them things and they're really open, they're really transparent to you, it's really obvious when somebody is. That's when you know you're dealing with somebody who's really honest and trustworthy, and that's a really good indicator that you're working with a good, solid client that you could work with long term. Then there's the constructive feedback. They're not giving you feedback just to tear you down. They're not giving you feedback just for no reason. They're giving you feedback that genuinely improves your work. They're actually giving you feedback that makes sense for the projects that you're working on. They're giving you feedback that you know genuinely would improve your products long term with other clients too. And things that you know were maybe wrong that could have been better, and you know they could have been better, and you get that feedback from them and you're willing to go and actually make those changes and they're cool with it. Then, like I said, that's constructive feedback. That's just making sure that we actually improve, that they're getting a quality product, that we're delivering quality products to our clients down the line, that we're getting better at what we do, and that's just constructive, right? That's actually building us up and making us better for the future, and an indicator that they're going to want to work with us long term too, because as we get better and we actually commit to applying their feedback, then they're going to be more willing to continue on with other projects with us. Like I said, that comes back to the long-term commitment stuff too. Then they respect your expertise. Like I said, they hired you because you're the expert. They hired you because you're the person who does this full time. You're the person who has more experience with this, and they look to you as the expert to tell them what to do. They're not trying to micromanage the whole process, right? They're not trying to say, oh, well, no, this is the way you're supposed to do it. This is the way I'm used to. This is the way it's supposed to be. They're looking at you like you're the expert, and you have creative range to do what you need to do to make sure that this project is done well. And they're collaborative. They actually work with you. They give you feedback. They give you ideas. They actually try to make sure that you have everything you need to fulfill on the project adequately. They're really collaborative with you. They get you back all the assets that you need on time. They're really responsive, and they're super passionate about what they do. These are all indicators that you're dealing with a long-term client, somebody that you really want to build that long-term relationship with, somebody who could really turn into that friend with money. Last thing, I want to talk about systems and scaling. This is stuff that you probably don't need to worry about when you're first starting out, but it's stuff that you really do want to get in place long-term, especially as you start to get more clients on your plate and as you start to outsource and delegate different things. These are all things that you're going to want to have in mind. So this is just project management 101. These are the different systems that we've kind of helped people build into their agencies over time, because this isn't stuff that you really do focus on when you first get started. But once you start to hit like that 10K per month, 20K per month, 30K per month mark, these are things you're really going to want to start thinking about making sure you have refined to make sure that you have a long-term business that can scale with you as you go, and that can make sure that you actually deliver for clients adequately. And this is something that can turn into something much bigger as long as you have these things in mind for the long term too. And so you want to make sure that you have some kind of customer relationship management system in place where you're kind of keeping profiles for your different customers, where you store their information, where you store their data, all the different feedback that you've gotten from the client notes over the years and things like that too. Then you want to make sure that you have some kind of project management system that allows you to put tasks and templates and things like that in place so that you can make sure that every project gets done the same way every single time. That's really where standard operating procedures come in too, because once you have task management and checklists and you have all that stuff templated out and you have some standard operating procedures for how you do things in place to really teach people, at that point you can really start to outsource and delegate this stuff really, really easy, and you can actually achieve roughly the same level of quality. Not always though. Something you want to keep in mind when you start to outsource and delegate is 80% the way you would do it is 100% awesome. And so that's really what all this comes down to too, is not expecting somebody to be 100% to your quality. As long as they're that 80% ballpark range, they're doing fine. You're doing fine. You can outsource that stuff. You can start to get some of your time back. And these things start to become a lot easier. And like I said, we're looking for ultimate freedom here, and that's ultimate financial freedom, ultimate time freedom, and ultimate location freedom. You want to be able to be where you want, when you want, with who you want, and not have to worry about all these different things that are going on inside of your business. Then there's just the different templates and stuff that you're going to need in place. Obviously, it's really good to have, your invoices figured out. It's really good to have a good, solid terms of service where they lay out the scope of work and different things like that too. You want to make sure that you have a non-disclosure agreement template or something like that in place where you can quickly sign this stuff, because obviously intellectual property is really sensitive. We want to make sure that we're protecting everybody's data. We want to make sure that these things are on our mind because they may not have something solid in place, and it's always good to have a non-disclosure agreement even for the way that you work, and having your employees sign that different stuff too. And then obviously having that discovery questionnaire where you can quickly get what you need for a project really fast from a client, and it shows them that you're really on top of your stuff too. It shows them that you're really committed to what you do and that you really want to be in this long term and that you're a really professional person to work with. And obviously you want to have data dashboards in place. You want to make sure that you're actually tracking the data for all of your project management. You want to make sure that you're tracking all of your marketing data, your finances, your expenses. You want to have dashboards in place to be able to look at that stuff at a high level so that you can make quick decisions for your business too. Like I said, these are all high-level subjects that I just want you to have in mind for the future, but it's obviously stuff that you don't need to have in place when you first get started. And so if you guys have any questions about this stuff, please get to the comments below. If you guys are interested in courses for this stuff, please comments below. Let me know. I'm here to answer your questions. I've been Chase with Magnetic Men Club. You guys have an amazing rest of your week.